Good evening, Dog Army. Or should I say good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. I couldn't sleep. I have a very big day ahead of me tomorrow, and as it usually is with times when I have big days ahead of me, I can't sleep. I can't sleep, Dog Army. I just end up in a situation where I just stay up all night. And I stumbled upon this video, and I watched a few minutes of it, and it was kind of unnerving, kind of strange and uncomfortable. And so I thought, you know what, this is the kind of video that you watch with friends. But I don't want to watch it with, well, I don't want to watch it alone. And I don't really have anyone to call over at this time of the day, very, very early morning, so I thought to myself, why don't we watch it together? A scary middle of the night stream. So let's watch it together. It is a video by NEXPO. I have, I have currently linked the video at the top of my description, and I guess we're just going to start watching it. So go get yourself a nice drink. Go get your blanket. Make sure your windows are locked. Make sure the door to the room you're sitting in is locked. Make sure you close your closet door. And make sure you don't have any reflections in your room. And then let's watch together. You and I, Dog Army. Let's watch. The purpose of this video is to inform. Do not harass or contact any individuals mentioned herein. All claims made in this video are merely speculative, based upon publicly available information. This video contains strong subject matter, including child endangerment. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Okay. Expert's video is always very good. I'm looking forward to it. Stephanie. Oh dear. Oh God. Scary. July 20th, 2024.
It's Saturday night. A bridge collapses in China. Twisters makes its worldwide debut. And over in one of Reddit's darkest corners, a peculiar mystery awaits. A user named Maria has just uncovered a series of Instagram accounts, all equally unsettling, uncanny, and terrifying.
Weird.
came across a post on r/Instagram where someone mentioned these creepy Instagram accounts of people who are seemingly pretending to be kids. It reminds me of Pipergate in a way, and I feel like all of these pages are run by the same person because of the horrendous editing style that makes my eyes bleed. Many of the photos on this account are an edit of this goofy face on a real person's body, and a lot of the bodies are in suggestive poses, which makes me think this is a definite fetish account. Is this just a really weird hobby? It seems like the poster's first language is French, and many of the posts are just generally weird and hard to understand. I'm curious what you guys think about this. With Maria's post are photos from 3 accounts, all exhibiting highly similar behavior. Truthsticks11, Stephanie Schooling, and Smart Schoolboy 9. At a cursory glance, it's clear that all of these are connected. They all incorporate images of children, edited in a way in which their faces rest in the trenches of the uncanny valley. They all exhibit heavy synthetic makeup, have massive lips. Their heads are disproportionate. The saturation seems to be cranked up. All of these rest at the precipice of visual overload and absolute depravity. Walls of text are thrown in our face about school, friends, things they're interested in, entire facets of their lives. But it's clear that these quote-unquote children, as they're presented, do not even exist.
Scary. Hug your plushies, everyone.
Saying that we've seen this type of behavior before. People online trying their hand at creating an ARG in hopes of generating online attention and viral clicks. But even still, I wonder, is this what we're dealing with here? On the account Truthsticks11, many of the early posts carry a considerable amount of irony. Their uploads take an almost condescending tone, lambasting the rise of online predators, following and commenting on the profiles of young boys. They take on this alias of an overly concerned parent and make post after post after post, sharing advice about potential danger online. In many ways, this contradicts everything we've seen so far in our limited investigation. This doesn't exactly add up, especially considering that just a few months later, and completely out of nowhere, Truthsticks begins to exhibit the very behavior they're criticizing.
So, I've seen this kind of thing before online. It's like when someone's mentally ill and they're not making any sense. It's almost like it makes sense to them inside their head, but it doesn't make sense to anyone else, and they don't comprehend that to other people they can't see this making sense. Let me read what it says here. Here at school today, I thought that I might have let my hair grow out a bit too long. See what you think of the large photo, but then I thought I'm not going to worry about that, because that's not the cool kind of focusing that makes children winners. The brain under the skin, the scalp, the skull, that's where the skills for school skip the escape routes, although they may seem exciting and instead stay stupendous. See, it's just word vomit. It doesn't make sense. Escape routes can be wasting time or doing completely different tasks to the one that the school lesson requires. That's selfish. And I stop myself when I'm being selfish. You should too. The momentum of selfishness should shock you, but don't hate yourself for it. Just do better with classy resolve. it's like it doesn't make sense.
Truthsticks begins to exhibit the very behavior they're criticizing. From March 2022 and onward, they morph from a concerned parent on a mission against online predators to displaying images of their supposed son in compromising positions, sharing a myriad of highly disturbing photo edits, and even begin to follow a handful of accounts that immediately set off red flags. Truthsticks 11's erratic behavior appears like one massive self-report. Someone on a tirade against the very thing they turned out to be, or perhaps have been all along. None of this made any sort of sense, leading many to speculate that, while yes, this is insanely creepy, is any of it real? What in the actual fuck? Really fucking weird. Not really sure the reason behind it. Maybe to groom kids or something, but it's really odd. This is probably the most disturbing thing ever uncovered on this subreddit. I asked the other day if anything actually sinister has ever been on here, but now I have my answer. I'm very glad that this sick person is getting exposed. If there's any exploitation material on their account, like some have been saying, nobody here should hesitate to report it to the police.
So I've talked about this a few times before on stream. I try not to mention it very often. But I was once acquainted with an individual on the internet who they were always very quick to speak out against exploitative materials. People who draw that kind of thing. And there's this kind of, I don't know if there's this kind of stigma against people who are like very, very hardcore on those kind of crusades, that those are the people who tend to turn out to be the very thing that they claim to be against. That is a very real thing. And the reason why I know that is because that person got arrested for meeting up with a 14-year-old in America. He's still in jail today. Good riddance. He was a terrible person who caused me a lot of hurt as well. I'm glad he's gone. Anyone who does that kind of thing deserves, to real people no less, deserves life in jail. But yeah, it is true that there's a strange tendency for the people who are sometimes the most vocal against that kind of thing turn out to be that themselves.
Understandably, this post blew up. People left and right poured in, eager to find out who was doing this.
Let me see. Let me see what it says.
Understandably, this post.
The second image is bizarre because it reminds. Okay.
Blew up. People left and right poured in, eager to find out who was doing this and why. It took hardly any time at all for Redditors to uncover other accounts in the same vein too, as Truthsticks and Schoolboy were far from the only ones involved here. As it turned out, there was a schoolgirl Teresa, New Girl 12, a Stephanie Stansfield, and a trove of others, all spread out across various social platforms. By outward appearances and with so many accounts involved, this almost looks like it's being done by a group. I mean, it has to be. They talk to each other, like each other's photos. There's no way this schoolboy dude has enough time to run all of these, especially for something like an ARG, right?
There are people who have an insane amount of time to do these kind of things online. You would be surprised what some people do. There was a lady once who was found out to have run an entire forum herself, and people were trying to calculate how long it would take her if it was truly one person. And the idea was that it would require her to make 7 posts an hour every hour of the day for 7 years.
Well, not exactly.
And she
You
did it.
see, Schoolboy, across all of his accounts, has a very, very strange way of putting on various personas. And on nearly every single video,
It's gone.
Before this video entered production, the profile of Smart Schoolboy 9, the centerpiece of this story, one of the only accounts with original, uploaded videos by a discernible person, was taken down. It's unclear if this was done because of policy violations or if he's scrubbing his online presence, but as it stands,
Why that clip?
this one is gone.
Okay.
That's not to say that there aren't archives, though. So pardon the potato quality.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
On the Smart Schoolboy 9 account, we can find a plethora of images and video of what appears to be a man dressed up in a school uniform. We can see him outside on walks,
He's
getting ready
real.
for school, and showing off his mini boots that he has a very strong fascination with. It goes without saying that this person is nowhere near the age of a child, despite his efforts to appear that way.
No, you don't think
On
he's
nearly
9?
all of his captions, he talks about his life in school, his experiences with other boys, reportedly also aged 8, 9, and 10, and even appears to gain access to classrooms.
He doesn't
on
look like a
multiple
real
occasions.
human. He looks
So
like...
far, this behavior is incredibly weird.
He looks like someone pretending to be a human. This doesn't look like a human. Look at those big teeth. This looks like something pretending to be human.
And even appears to gain access to classrooms on multiple occasions.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So far, this behavior is incredibly weird and repulsive. However, these videos aren't outright illegal. Because of this, and combined with the activity on truth sticks, some have passed this entire thing off as nothing but a massive LARP. Someone with far too much free time on their hands, and with very, very weird fixations. But after diving into this a bit more, though, I've found that that isn't quite the case. There's something I gotta show you.
We'll return after these messages.
Alright guys, before we get to that, I'd like to tell you about tonight's video sponsor, NordVPN. In today's world,
Hey, Brazilians,
online
listen
privacy is
up.
feeling more and more like a pipe dream.
Brazilians.
Something we once all felt like we had, but never really do. Every single day, everything you do online can be tracked by both your internet service provider and anyone else on your network.
I would skip normally, but you know, we're gonna watch the sponsor. We're taking his video and doing commentary over it, so we're gonna watch the sponsor.
Granting them unfettered access to your online footprint. Because of that, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be on a list somewhere because of the research I was doing for this video. Oh, but wait. No, I won't, because for the past year, I've been using NordVPN. NordVPN is one of my favorite tools to protect my online privacy. With the simple click of a button, my IP address is masked and my online activity is safeguarded behind a wall of next-generation encryption. NordVPN doesn't track, collect, or share any data that moves through its servers, ensuring that you can achieve a clean, secure browsing experience with no one peering over your shoulder. Right now, you can get a 2-year plan at a huge discount by using my link, nordvpn.com/nexpo. That link will get you the best deal on NordVPN, and it's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Once again, that's nordvpn.com/nexpo, or click the link in the description below. Thank you so much to Nord for sponsoring tonight's video. Now let's get back to it.
Okay. You're not alone, Violet. You're watching with us.
In the current online discussion, there hasn't been much said about the account Stephanie Stansfield. However, interestingly, it's one of Schoolboy's earliest and arguably most disturbing. Dating back to 2019, this man took on a persona called Stephanie. Since the creation of this page, he's gone forth to make a Twitter account, a Facebook page, and even numerous other Instagram handles, all under this alias. While he gives his other pages a considerable amount of attention, he, for some reason, took a strange liking to this one in particular. All across Stephanie's profiles, he can be seen dressing as her, discussing their experience in grade school, and, weirdest of all, in a twist that comes as no surprise,
Oh no.
the man behind this rabbit hole expresses a fantasy. And in our hands, we effectively have another Pipergate. Daily Capper, Stephanie Stansfield.
From Stephanie Stansfield.
What the fuck?
Me and Morfoot, Milton Keynes, MK11, dressed for school. I really love it in year 7, and I love writing poetry. My Morfoot music heart, I race to complete my poems when I've got an early start. Heart racing, mixed race rhythms, maximizing miracles. Rice with rap on the map, my Kennington, London syllables. Dancing though I know my underwear might show if I lean forward. Good. Aside from the repulsive celebration of being able to spot a child's underwear, Stephanie makes a reference to Milton Keynes, a region just north of London in the UK. This, combined with various other media he shared, quickly led onlookers to realize that this man has been making his rounds across the city of London for years. Also in this post are clear references to poetry, something we'll find to come up later. Upon searching for the name Stephanie Stansfield on Google, we're able to find traces of this person in the wild. For instance, hidden on a random page of the Kennington Runoff, a news website serving the titular neighborhood in South London, we can see Stephanie chiming in on an article about a youth club. Here, though, their mannerisms surprisingly appear a bit tamer. Are there any unusual or rare pictures including landing areas, lifts, etc. of Caring Point? The tower block that stood at Hotspur Street from 1969 to 2000? I learned what happened to Cairn Point, but have yet to find any demolition pictures, even on the 20th anniversary of its demolition, or pictures of the play space that temporarily replaced the building. Thank you for any research into Cairn Point. If we had no prior context to this person, this comment would exist in complete normalcy. In a way, it's almost like this person isn't even the Stephanie Stansfield that we've come to know so far. The one showcasing eerie edits, pretending to be a child, creating riddles and poetry. It's like that persona's gone. You know, part of me wants to believe that this person has no ties to the rabbit hole, but even here, I noticed that they just couldn't help themselves. Stephanie Stansfield inquired about a play area, a place obviously associated with kids. Doing any research online about this alleged play place leads to nothing. It existed for such a short period of time that hardly anyone recalls that it was even there. It was a blip in history, so insignificant and overshadowed by the disaster that came before it that it's hardly worth mentioning. Yet Stephanie recalls it to such a degree that they've been on the hunt for any pictures of it. This also seems like even as far back as the year 2000, this person was hanging around play areas, leading me to wonder, was he up to his same antics back then, or is this act fairly recent?
Scary.
Also on the internet is another link, this time leading us to a PDF file of a 2018 publication by a London charity called the Streatham Society. Within this, they share a myriad of news and happenings around this area of London. However, on page 11, they include a segment called the Poetry Corner, in which we can spot a very familiar name.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Hi to the Streatham Society. I'm Stephanie Stansfield and shy. I'm 12 years of age, year 7. I'm London born and lived in Streatham for a while. I've written a poem. I asked my half-brother what he remembers about the area. Then I put my thoughts onto paper. I could have written much more, but I wanted to keep it short, and yet still include a little tribute to June Whitfield. So it's as if I've traveled through time to include so much. I hope my poem is of some use. Yours sincerely, Stephanie. After glancing at her writing, it's abundantly clear that this poem was not written by a 12-year-old. It shares details of buildings that were there in the 1990s, as well as references to TV actors that would be not only unrealistic for a child to remember, but impossible. But even through this mess, there is something to latch onto. In the poem, Stephanie refers to someone who has supposedly fed her this information about his life growing up in London decades prior. It's her half-brother, someone who's old enough to remember all of this. It's someone called David.
Back on Reddit, investigators were on a similar path.
Okay.
The name David was circulating as a potential suspect for days, catalyzed by first-hand accounts of those who had encountered a very similar man to this in the wild. Redditors from his area shared tales of a local figure, a man who would dress up like a child, making his rounds as far south as London and as far north as Doncaster.
I'll be quite honest,
I'll be quite honest. I was really surprised when this guy popped up on my local city's subreddit. It's like one of them things that scared you as a child, then something reminds you of that as an adult, and it puts you back a bit. We're talking like 14-ish years back. I'm 28, almost 29 now. So he lived on my street while I was in my last few years of secondary school.
Just
and first
closing
few
my
years
door.
of college.
I'm scared.
Aged 14 to 17.
This is
He was
scary.
very well known by pretty much everyone who lived around that area. There was even a video of him at one point titled Donnie Legend. Me and my brother looked for this today, but couldn't find it. It must be at least 14 to 15 years old now though, so it may be deleted. He spent a lot of time wearing his school uniform, usually the skirt and boots look, but sometimes a suit. Basically the exact same look from his recent pictures, just with a different school uniform. He carried around a little lunchbox with a mirror glued to one side of it. He used to stand behind trees and watch people in the reflection. He
Oh.
used to follow kids home from school, going tree to tree. There were a few times he was caught looking through people's living room windows that had confronted him in the past. My brothers and stepdad had a few altercations with him. My stepdad and mom especially didn't feel safe living on the same street as him and didn't like how close he lived to the local school, about a 50-second walk. The police were called more times than I'd like to count, and they were never ever concerned. He never committed a crime, according to them.
This is really scary. So one of the things is he lived within 50 seconds of a school. This kind of person, how do they make a living? Do they have a job? Are they normal during the day? And then after work, they go home? This guy, after work, he's a completely normal office worker. And then after work, he goes home, puts on his school uniform, goes outside, and then watches people from the trees. That's terrifying. I don't know what's scarier. This guy not having any job and just being this, somehow being able to support himself going around his neighborhood, or this guy being seemingly completely normal. Maybe his parents pay. Yeah, I don't know.
They were very concerned for his safety in this. He was always seen as such a danger, but I honestly just assumed, stupidly as a naive teenager, that this guy didn't know how to use the internet, or at the very least was monitored. It's horrible he's turned up online, though. I'm glad I can now be sure he's left the local city. My daughter starts secondary school next year, and I'm glad he won't be around to terrorize her. I just wish and hope that the authorities would protect the school kids where he is.
Like on Instagram, him posting on his own Instagram, I mean, that's one thing, right? But actually going around and like following around kids, can you imagine this? You're a kid, it's your first day at school, you're wearing your uniform, you're going to go meet your friends who are all gonna go to school too, and then you see this older man, and he looks like a parody of you. It's just big buck teeth, weird glasses, almost like he's dressed up like a cartoon character version of what he imagines a child to be like. And then he starts following you around. It's terrifying.
This man is a known creep.
I'd never leave the house again. Me neither. I would be terrified. When I was a kid, there was rumors of these like strange clowns that would run after kids from the woods. They would stand at the tree line at the woods, and then they would run at us. I never saw them myself, but other kids swore they'd saw them, and it was even on the local news. But I just can't imagine, what if it was real, and everyone knew about it, and the police didn't want to do anything about it? That's terrifying.
I used to work at the court 20 years ago,
scary.
and he was in court in the paper several times for approaching and writing to underage girls while wearing makeup and young girl style clothing. He usually got away without conviction because the courts believed that he didn't intend to do any wrong. He was trying to speak to those girls because he wholeheartedly believed he was a girl of that age. With the claim that this person was roaming neighborhoods as far as 14 years back, along with the statement that schoolboy had wound up in court 20 entire years ago for writing to underage girls, even then, it's apparent that he's far, far older than I initially thought. This is how he remembers Karen Point. This is how Stephanie knew so much about an era she never lived in. Doing the math here, at minimum, Smart Schoolboy 9 is at least 40 years old. When I lived in Doncaster, there was a man who used to walk around dressed as a 1960s schoolboy who looked like he'd walked out of a black and white photo. I'm pretty sure his skin was painted white. People said he was called David. For decades, this man has been haunting neighborhoods around the UK, approaching children that are likely afraid of him, posting pictures of those that have no knowledge of his existence, and gravitating towards schools, seemingly under the belief that he's a child. Online activity by this person in which he's well-spoken and drops the act, though, like on his Facebook. He makes it clear that he knows what he's doing. This person is real.
The summer rioting in parts of the UK is unacceptable, and obviously the Southport situation where 3 young girls sadly lost their lives. He's talking like a normal guy here. I mean, I don't know what he's talking about or what his opinion on it is, but he's talking like he's being comprehensible here. It's totally unlike on Instagram where he's being nonsensical. Jesus. There was a guy who got arrested for looting a Lush shop and stole bath products. Oh, and the riots?
This person is active. A local boogeyman, if you will, that shows no signs of stopping. the rise of the internet, David has harnessed social media to express his desires, utilizing heavily filtered and often AI-generated images of kids to toe the line of legality. Like we've seen on many of his posts, he emulates parents, putting on a facade of concern for the very people he's allegedly preying on. He falsifies personalities, presenting them to real-world publications as legitimate, and across his many profiles, he follows a laundry list of kids. At the end of the day, Schoolboy and his plethora of alts are just the tip of the iceberg, and for all we know, countless other accounts could be hiding in the void of cyberspace. Personas emulating children, interacting with children, and creating edits of real kids that have no idea they're being posted online. This man follows countless minors, and whether he's physically harmed or has endangered any of them in the real world, at this point, we have no idea. Going by one of his videos, however,
No, 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 no. No, no, no. After school chasing another boy running in high-heeled mini. Jesus fucking Christ. No, 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 no.
I really hope that this isn't the case. But unfortunately, the evidence isn't very promising.
David is reportedly now under investigation by UK police. Good. If you encounter experienced exploitation of minors, report the incident. Jesus Christ. That is scary, dog army. That is unbelievably scary. Can you imagine that? This terrifying adult man just walking around neighborhoods, and that video is chasing a child. That can bring lifelong trauma to someone. I really hope the police arrest him. People like that will never not be terrifying because you don't know what they'll do next. This is one of the weirdest things I've seen in a long time, because this guy, there's something so odd about it. Like, it's like, I don't know how to even describe it properly. There were videos of him. Let me see if I can find it. It's like a parody of what he thinks a child is like. A grotesque parody, a grotesque corruption of childhood. It's absurd and terrifying. And this guy has been lurking around neighborhoods with children for decades and decades. It's unbelievably terrifying. And he speaks normally on his Facebook. That's the most terrifying thing, is that he's eloquent. This isn't just a mentally ill man who thinks he's a child. This is an adult. This is an adult with an adult mind. Unbelievable. How terrifying. Well, thank you for watching the video with me, Dog Army. As mentioned, I've got some important business, so I won't be streaming for a few days now. But I'll be returning soon. Thank you for watching with me. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a good rest. Good luck, Mary. Thank you. One of you has two personalities, one adult and one child. This is more terrifying than a horror movie could come up with. Thanks for the stream, Mary darling. Thank you, JR. Thank you for the stream, Doggo. Thank you, Pio. Thank you, everyone. I'll make sure to buy the dog plushie. Thank you. Thank you. I hope my lack of sleep doesn't catch up with me. Well, I'll see you all in a few days. I appreciate you all very much. Good night, Dog Army. Good night.